All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have iconic hip-hop artists, man. We got Junebug Slim, also known as Mr. Sinister, right here, live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed. How are you, brother?
Oh, man, doing best as I can possibly be down here in Canada, man. I'm pretty sure you have read the news, man, so, it's definitely a wonderful time to be a Canadian.
Absolutely.
But I know you're a busy guy, Junebug, so I'm going to dive right into this broadcast, man. But I want to take you back to the early 1990s, where you actually became a member of the iconic group B.P.M. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this group, and of course, how did you originally get connected with the other members?
So I think it was like 1990, I want to say 1992, 1993, I decided to make a group with my little cousin at the time, because he was rapping. I wasn't rapping. So I was actually just going to promote him as him being a rapper. So I was like, okay, man, I got a little bit of money. I'm gonna put it into you, and we're going to make something happen. So I'm going to start kind of a label. So I started putting together this little crew together, and other guys came in, and then NWA came out, of course. So my idea, my mind was like, you know what? Why don't we try to put together a thing like a Latin NWA, you know what I'm saying? So we're all from the Bay Area, you know what I'm saying? So we're from Northern California, and all that other stuff was up in Southern California. So we didn't really, we didn't have a lot of competition with that. So we put together this group. It was my cousin, it was me, and my boy DJ Zipski, another guy named Kaspari, and another guy named Loco Man. So we just put together this group, and I started going from here to LA and shopping the demo to like all the majors, right? So I'm knocking on doors and sneaking into like Profile and Capitol Records and trying to get a deal, for the group. This is unheard of back then. And it was really exciting, you know what I'm saying? Here we are, like some 22-year-old kids, and we're sneaking into labels, trying to get in to see executives. But you know what? It ended up paying off, because I ended up running into this cat named John Barunda. Now, John Barunda worked at a place called, I forgot his name, but it was a vinyl pressing plant. It was basically almost, if you saw that thing of NWA where Easy met Jerry Heller, it's almost the same type of plant. It was a vinyl record pressing plant where we pressed our first cassette. So he hit us up, and he was like, yo, man, we like this. We like what you guys did, and we want to sign you to our label out here in Hollywood called Sunset Boulevard Entertainment. So he signed us, and next thing you know, B.P.M. was a thing.
And I gotta say as well, man, you guys are absolute legends, man. When you actually said you snuck into labels, me asking, what labels did you actually sneak into that actually turned you down?
Okay, so we went to Motown. I got in the door at Motown. They listened to the song at Motown, and they put the record on file, and they were putting out the Mexicans at that time, the first Mexicans that were coming out on a major, and they were putting the Mexicans out. They liked the demo. I got into Delicious Vinyl. They turned us down. I got into Profile. They turned us down. I got into Priority. Got a meeting with Brian Turner, but I already ended up getting a deal already with Sunset, so I turned that one down after, which I should have. In longevity, I should have went for the Priority thing, but it is what it is. At the time, we were so young, but we were excited just to be there. We got into Capitol, but they kicked us out. I mean, they literally chased us out. I know we got into another one, and we were like hiding in the elevators and shit like that, and go down the back escape gates and stuff like that. So it was just a lot of fun being a kid, trying to make it happen. And those are the times that I will really never forget, because it was so amazing for me, man.
And I gotta say as well, when you said you had a meeting with Brian Turner, did he ever talk numbers with you, or was it strictly just a meeting? Like, did you actually get the opportunity to choose, okay, do I want Priority or do I want this label?
No. We weren't even there yet. He didn't have, he just heard it. He was interested. We are going to get back to you. Give me a call. Da-da-da-da. We're gonna go back and forth. But what's crazy about that is because right after that, I came back. We did that, and I was working at Black Market Records. People don't know this. I used to work at Black Market Records, with Lynch and all them. I used to work in the warehouse. So I was the one doing all this shit in the warehouse for Cedric way back in the days until he moved me up and I became his VP at one time. So during that time, people don't even know the backstory on that, but I worked at Black Markets forever. So, yeah, it's crazy. And then Priority ended up signing Black Market, and I ended up making the iconic album, The Best of Black Market. That was all my idea because I was in the warehouse, and I'm like, yo, Ted, you want to make some money? He's like, man, yeah, we need to make some money. I go, I got a great idea. He's like, yeah? I go, I got a great idea. It's going to cost you. And he's like, how much? And I said, da. And he goes, done deal. Tell me. So I said, The Best of Black Market. And he goes, oh, my God. He goes, put it together, go to the studio, and put the whole album together. So if you look at that, and return it over, on the back of it, it says executive producer Stan Perez, which is my real name. So, yeah, I executive produced The Best of Black Market, which went gold, and I'm pretty proud of that.
And also, before we move off the topic of B.P.M, man, in the year 1995, you guys actually released my personal favorite record that you guys did, which is actually Premeditated, where you actually served as the executive producer on that as well. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about this iconic release, and of course, is it still out there, or has it been re-released on the internet so the newer generation can actually check it out today?
Absolutely. So, no, that record actually didn't get re-released. It was tied up with Explicit Records, which was Sunset Boulevard Independent. It was an independent label, and it got tied up there. So where you can catch that record, you can catch that record. I just kind of let that record lay where it was at because there was so much legal stuff that went along with that album, and I kind of just moved on with my solo career at that point.
And the one thing I have to ask about this album, because like when I actually have the old CD copy, man, that I actually found on Discogs years ago, man, and the one thing I've always wondered about the album artwork, did anyone ever give you guys any trouble or pertaining to that album artwork? Like, did the label ever try to get you to change that that album artwork up?
No, they never did.
And also as well, man, in the year 1997, you actually released your debut album titled West Coast Thing, man. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about this earlier release project of yours.
Okay, so right after that, so after B.P.M, one of the executives that worked over at Sunset Boulevard Entertainment gave me a call one day, and he was like, hey, June. I'm like, yo, what's up? He goes, I got a proposition for you. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. Because I have some people from London called Bruton Music, and they're doing music libraries. And one of their music libraries are for an ABC show called Dangerous Minds, the television series. And they're interested in you making a full catalog for Dangerous Minds, the music series. The TV show. So I'm like, yo, I'm with it. So they offer me a good amount of money. I'm like, yo, man, send that to me now, and I'll get started on it. So I get started on this album. So now it's just me making this whole thing for Bruton Music, which is for ABC and Dangerous Minds. So I make this whole album. I send it out to them. They love the record, the album. The songs start getting placed in the shows, and then Blockbuster videos, and so on and so on. So they start placing all my music and stuff in these TV shows. But during that time, I was like, man, I got this full album. I'm still have an album. I'm going to add to it. So I had that album, and I was letting other people listen to it so I can maybe get a solo deal. But those were songs that were already owned by Bruton Music and in London and stuff like that for TV shows and stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, man, let me shop this to some labels. Maybe they'll give me a solo deal off what they hear, and I can go back and record. So I sent it out to a couple people and this and that. Next thing you know, I sent it out to some people from my hometown, which is East Oakland. I sent it out to my homies in the East Oakland, and they're like, yo, June, what is this album? I'm like, yo, man, it's this and that, but I can do a lot better. He goes, no, man, we want this album. What's it going to take? I said, I have no idea. He said, well, let's try to make it happen. During that time, my boys from Lighter Shade of Brown got signed to the same label, which was Greenside Records. So it was me, Lighter Shade of Brown, and MC Man, another artist that are all signed to this label. So he's like, now, well, we need to get this album deal done. So Lighter Shade of Brown is going to have a record release party in Hollywood on this and this date. can you get us a meeting with Bruton? Now, Bruton at that time, I didn't know, was under another one, was partners with Zamba and Jive. So that was another company that did, that represented them on the West Coast. So we went into Zamba and Jive, and Greenside went in and bought my deal out from Jive Records and Zamba. And then I was immediately signed to Greenside Records.
I gotta say, man, it definitely is amazing how things just tend to unfold, It definitely sounds like that was meant to be.
Yeah, it was amazing, bro. It's crazy.
And I gotta say as well, man, my favorite joint off that record is actually Much Love, and I love how you talk about growing up as a teen out in Oakland, man. I don't know, just the story based of that song, man. I absolutely love.
Right, word. Thank you, man. Thank you. It was definitely an interesting battle growing up in East Oakland and making it out of there, So, good times and bad,
And also as well, man, going into the mid-2000s, you were actually featured on JT's single titled Fallen alongside Baby Bash and the one and only MC Magic. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this particular project. And of course, what was it like just being in the studio working with Baby Bash and MC Magic?
Well, see, what happened is that I released a song called Slow Jam first. So it was me, Magic, and JT. I hit JT up about getting with Magic, and me and Magic knew each other from back in the days. So I did Slow Jam, which Slow Jam went top 40. I mean, it did big numbers. So after Slow Jam, our follow-up single was Fallen. That was on my album, Gangster Love. So, yeah, it was amazing, man. We did the song in Vegas. So it was me, JT, so it was me, JT, and Baby Bash did the song in Las Vegas. And then we sent out the rest of the tracks for Magic to do his hooks on it and mix it. So we got that back, and it was all beautiful. But being in the studio with those guys, man, it's legendary at itself. You know what I'm saying? We do big things, hang out, and have a good time. You know what I mean?
And I gotta say as well, man, Baby Bash is probably one of the coolest, slyest individuals on the microphone, man. It's such a phenomenal individual to be around.
Absolutely, man. That's family right there, man. We go way, way, way back. I mean, since he was in, Pot and the Deuce and stuff like that. I was in Greenside, and we were doing that thing. He was in Latino Velvet. He was in L.A. When I was up there, he came to our little home studio when we were doing shit with Lighter Shade of Brown. Him and Frost used to kick around with us, and JT as well. So, Don Cisco, you name it, man. We was all in that clique at that time. We was all running around chasing that,
And also as well, aside from the music industry for a moment, man, I also noticed as well that in the year 2013, you actually starred in your own movie titled Stereotype. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this amazing film. And of course, where can our listeners actually check this film out today?
So that was interesting. So when we were doing Greenside, we were living in Alameda, and our label was in East Oakland. So me and my buddy John Durande, he came down from Bakersfield, and he came down to help me write this movie. So I had this idea. I was like, man, you know what? I want to do a Latino Friday. But how do we come up, with a Latino Friday? Because we need to make it on a budget where we can afford it, but we need to stay in one location. And we know Friday was Friday, but we need to make sure, how does this guy stay home? How do we keep Junebug home? Let's put him on house arrest. Let's get him busted, and he has to stay home. And all these characters come to his house and try to mess him up while he's on house arrest. Boom, great idea, right? Okay, we're on a roll. So now we're out to make this movie. So we're in East Oakland. We're chilling. We got the script. We're writing it. Da-da-da-da. My boy Big Tone goes, hey, man, I think we're getting too big for out here. What you guys think about moving to Hollywood? And we're like, what? He goes, let's move to Hollywood and make this movie. We're like, yo, man, let's do it. So we get this big house in freaking L.A., right? Get this big house, which we make a recording studio, everything. We're sitting there. We're going to make the soundtrack for the movie. We're going to do all these things, and we're going to put out this movie. So now we got this movie, and now we're starting to get actors. I don't know if you remember, Noel G. Noel G was one of our first actors, which is Hector from Fast and Furious, before there was any Fast and Furious. He was in my movie as my best friend. So we're here, we're trying to make this movie, Next thing you know, I have to go do acting classes because I'm not that good of an actor. So they sent me to this acting lady, and this lady was named Sandy Martin. Now, Sandy Martin, if you guys remember Napoleon Dynamite, was the grandma. So this before Napoleon Dynamite. So I go in, and she teaches me all about how to be an actor. So she's teaching me and stuff like that. And she's like, well, what's the budget for this? And I told her the budget. She goes, you know what? We can get more. And I'm like, word. And she goes, we can get real actors to come in. I'll get you Lupe Anteveras. I'll get you freaking, all these big Jacob Vargas at the time, Edward James Olmos, all these people to play around you to make you bigger than you are. And I go, okay, and then we'll have Kid Frost, we'll have Slow Payne, we'll have everybody in the Latino rap community also in the movie. So we're planning out this big thing. So she starts digging around and ends up freaking talking to Edward James Olmos. Edward James Olmos loves the project, right? Says, okay, Sandy, we're going to do the project. You are my vice president at Olmos Productions now. So the script gets took out of our hands and gets put into Olmos Productions and gets rewritten. So we're like, okay, they're rewriting the script. We're going to it. We're about to make this thing. Now they're trying to get more money and more money and more money. If anybody knows about Hollywood, it starts getting real bad at a time. And people are just trying to, line their pockets and get more and more. So it kind of took forever. We went, it was like about a year or two out. We're like, bro, this ain't going to happen. We're going to make this movie ourselves. So we backtracked, we backpedaled, went back into our little dungeon, reconfigured it how we can put it together, and we ended up doing it ourselves on a real small budget, put it out, got a little deal, and if you want to, you could probably try to find it. If you Google it, you might be able to find some DVDs on, definitely on eBay. Just Hidden Stereotype, Junebug Slim, and they should be available there.
And I gotta ask as well, man, when you actually said that when people got their hands on it, they rewrote the script, did you get the opportunity to actually reread what they wrote? And like, were you satisfied, or were you kind of iffy on it when you actually read how they rewrote your script?
I mean, I definitely we had to go through it line by line with them after, of course. But there was kind of some funny style shit that we weren't really feeling. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut. There wasn't really, some funny style stuff on there that we really weren't feeling. But then again, they worked with this and they adapted to it. But I think at the end of it all, bro, was people that just saw something that was really big. I mean, this was before 8 Mile. This was going to be like one of the first rap movies there was, and people really saw it for what it was, and they were like, man, this is big, and they got greedy, and it showed, man. Green came out in a lot of people,
And also, jumping to just last year, on April 30th, you actually released the phenomenal collaborative single titled Let's Roll alongside Magic Girl. I was wondering, how did yourself and Magic Girl get connected? And of course, where can our listeners actually check this song out if they haven't already done so?
So, Magic Girl, man, good people, man. She's the best. And big shout out to my son, too. He was in that video, too. He played the beginning role, the young June, one of the mechanics in there. So actually the star of it, he was actually starring. So a big shout out to YC, De Niro, So me and Magic Girl, we hooked up through a mutual friend in Bakersfield, California. I reached out to him. He hooked up with her, and she's always been a fan, knew who I was, and really wanted to work alongside me. So I shot her the song, and she listened to it, loved it, and we decided to make a video for it, and that's up right now on YouTube. If you want to go watch it, just put in Junebug Slim, feature Magic Girl, Let's Roll tonight, you know what I mean? And you can get that on any platform as well to download, any downloading platform.
And I gotta say, you guys had such phenomenal chemistry, man, on that song. Do you guys have any plans to work together again on any more releases? Because I gotta say, you guys were phenomenal.
Absolutely. I actually wrote a love song that I was going to do with her, almost like a Fire and Ice, Rick James, Tina Marie type of joint that I wanted to do. I'm dipping and dabbling right now in the singing categories, and I know you know about that right now. But yeah, I'm starting to sing more now. I'm getting a little bit older in time, and I'm letting my singing ways jump out. You know, the rap is cool, but yeah, just definitely getting it more on the R&B tip, and you know, what I'm saying, some alternative shit like that. But yeah.
And speaking of that, man, that was actually right next up in the question list, man, about how you actually just recently became a member of a brand new duo, man, called Violet 2222, man. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about this phenomenal new duo. And of course, how did you guys actually get connected? Because you guys are phenomenal together as well.
Wow. So this is a really, really cool story. So I'm getting ready to spread my wings, if you would say, and try to get into the singing genre of music. So I've worked with a lot of rap producers and stuff like that, and I'm like, man, I got to find a new place to do some singing where I want to debut my scene. So I'm looking, and basically it was a Google search, bro. So I Googled in local Sacramento area recording studio. I picked one out, boom, R Street. Went to R Street, boom, 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 went to this recording studio, talked to this guy, said, hey, man, can I get in the studio? He said, absolutely, man, come back. Well, all right, cool. So I booked the time, I go back over there, and I start recording my first song. My first song was Satisfied. I start working on the song Satisfied, and the dude is digging this vibe. And he's like, man, this is really cool. And he's like, man, I sing, and I play guitar. And I'm like, cool, man, maybe we can do something. Cool. So time went on. I just kept recording over there. Next thing you know, I have him jump on one of the songs that I was working on, doing some background vocals. Starts sounding really good. Next thing you know, I have him start playing guitar in a couple songs. Starts sounding really cool. Time goes on. Me and this dude become really close, and we're talking a lot. So I'm telling him about my past, about what I've done, and stuff like that. And he starts telling me about his past. He actually used to be in a band with Andre Simone. And if you know who Andre Simone is, Andre Simone was Prince's bass player back in the days. So he was not only in the band with Andre Simone, which has an album came out. He's on the album called Respect in the 80s. Blew up, did pretty well with Prince, and then went to go work at Paisley Park. So now he's working at Paisley Park doing production for girl groups and stuff like that. And then also veered off and worked with Jesse Johnson from The Time, which was The Time's guitar player. So this dude's got all this background and all this stuff. So next thing you know, of course, he jumped on Satisfied. Next, boom, 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 he's on Satisfied. And we're getting radio play, baby. And it's doing really well right now.
And speaking of that, man, I actually have Satisfy locked and loaded to actually be played here on the FM dial, man. I've had this in rotation for a while now, but I gotta bump it back to the top because, of course, we gotta play this immediately following this interview, man. It's only right.
Hell yeah, man. We appreciate it over here too, man. Thank you so much for all your support, and we love Canada, baby.
And I gotta ask, man, because I do know there is some individuals that are longtime listeners of the radio station, and there also is some that are probably tuning in for the first time. So if this is their first time and their first time hearing this song, what can they expect from it when I spin it right here momentarily on the FM dial?
You can expect to get up and dance and feel like you was locked up in the 80s, baby, because we're bringing it back, and it's our jam, man. Satisfy. We're here to satisfy you, you know what I mean?
And of course, man, I gotta ask, what is next for yourself, Junebug Slim, and of course, Violet 222? Is there anything we happen to miss during this interview? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the FM dial this evening.
I mean, the only thing that I could say right now is Violet 222's full album will be out early this summer, and then I'm also working on a new Junebug Slim solo album as well. That should be released about September or October of this year as well. And we're just super excited about what this year is going to bring,
And when you say as well that you got a brand new Junebug Slim album, I have to ask this, man. Is it going to be going back to hip-hop for an album, or is it going to be the type of substance that you got going on with Violet 222?
It's going to be, I mean, there will definitely be some hip-hop elements in it, but definitely I'm growing as an artist, so it's definitely going to grow as I grow. So I mean, it will have, it'll have flavors from then, but it'll have new flavors from now as well, you know what I mean? So people will be able to enjoy the nostalgia of old Junebug Slam and the new stuff that I'm bringing together with Violet 222 as well.
And also, Junebug, this is the time in the interview quickly, man, that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give, like, shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. But most of all, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything you got going on, if they're not already doing so.
So, yeah, you can hit me at The Real Junebug Slam on Instagram, June Perez at Facebook, and... I mean, that's pretty much what I have, is those two social media platforms.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Junebug, thank you so much, man, for just giving us a little bit of your time here this evening and sliding into the 97.7 FM airways, man. I gotta say, I've been a fan for a very long time, man, so just being able to interview you and converse with you on my station this evening is truthfully an honor, man. Thank you for years of monumental music, and I'm looking forward to many more years of more monumental music to come.
Thank you so much, brother, and I appreciate you as well.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome, man, but definitely have yourself a wonderful night, and most definitely enjoy the last few hours of the weekend.
You too, bro. Take care.
You as well.